down and she said, yeah, look,
Okay, we might get underway. And there goes the Discord notification, so that's excellent. We're streaming. So we're mixing it up in March. We are having the forum night for the first Wednesday night, which is confusing the hell out of everyone, and the ABC tour, just a reminder, next week. So that was fixed in time, so we swapped the 2 nights around. So tonight's Reast forum night, and before I get underway, I'm going to introduce 2 of our visitors, which is one who people probably know from the conference, Phil VK2ASD, who's down visiting his new grandchild.
Yep.
Yes. And Josh, who's come along to find out what we get up to in the Radio and Electronics Association. So welcome, Josh and Phil. Tonight's we advertised on the broadcast that if your house was on fire and you were running out of the house and you had to grab one rig, one radio, which one would it be? So, following on from our last forum night, you're going to have to be brave, and you're going to have to come up to the lectern, because the microphone's at the lectern, and describe your rig. Now, we have the rigs hopefully pre-selected on the screen behind you, and what we're looking for is the good, the bad, and the ugly about the rig. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, Ron,
Right.
up here. Now, Ron's actually brought it along.
Yeah, Hayden said you've got to keep it a secret.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Everyone knows my radio. Since I've only got one.
Well, I'm glad you did bring it along, because I didn't bring it along, and I thought, I hope somebody else does.
Yeah.
In +1.
So, if the house is burning, I'd have to grab my 705. And thanks to Justin, he sent me the 3D printing file so we can print a cover for it.
With a nice call sign on it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Got to make this thread shorter. Yeah, so take that off. So everyone's seen a 705 before, but it's just sitting in the... But it doesn't come down to just one rig, really. If the house is on fire, there's other things you have to grab. Definitely that.
Now, why the 705? Is that,
why?
Is it just because that's the only one?
That's the only one I got.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
But, yeah.
Oh!
Have to bring the radio control. This is a bit dated now, this one. It's pretty old.
So you use that to operate the radio?
No, it's a transmitter. But
that was the right switch. Throttle disabled. Flaps up.
I've got about
It talks.
16 aircraft programmed into this radio control, and it took me so long to get them all sorted out. So I have to grab that on the way. Otherwise, I'll be there for so long setting up another one. I do have a backup, but still. And one other thing, which I thought would be a must, because it's so useful, is the NanoVNA.
Oh, yes.
You can't
well,
leave. You can't leave that behind.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good for setting up your antennas and doing all the testing and stuff like that. So definitely have to grab that as well.
Oh, that's good. If my house is on fire, I don't have to grab mine. Because
Yeah, good point.
So
I reckon there should be a centralised list.
Everybody
grabs different stuff.
Yeah.
We're all good. As long as I've got my Gargy, I'm good.
If the whole place is on fire.
Yes. So that's
Fantastic.
what I will do.
Okay, thank you, Ron.
Okay.
Now, can I just before you go, the bad and the ugly? Have you come across any things that you on the 705 that you go, oh, I really wish they didn't do that?
I don't know it well enough yet.
No,
So,
okay.
Magnificent radio.
Oh no,
Great
correct.
for,
Yeah.
yeah. No.
I admit I haven't either. So
Yeah.
GPS
that's-
locking.
Yeah, but
the little GPS thing comes up on it.
not actual GPS locking for the frequency.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah, that's just your location, your grid square.
No, to stabilise the radio, so it's
Yeah.
on frequency.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's a good IF radio.
good point, Richard. Though the uses I've had are mainly HF, so I haven't had to do
Yeah.
anything else. So.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the radio control. Fantastic. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get the
Come on.
weirdness out of the
Be
way.
brave. Be
Be
brave.
brave. Nah, it doesn't be brave. Right. Well, I didn't bring the radio because, of course, I'm clueless and didn't read the instructions.
We can bring it up on the. We can bring it up. It's
Can
here
you?
somewhere. I'll find it in a
Oh
minute.
my God.
Actually, I know where it is. It's at the end. It's that one
Yeah, it
there.
is. So the reason I chose the Hermes to grab and go with is because I thought I might have a bit of a trouble with the FT1000D. Which is about 30 kilo or something like that. Maybe not that much. No, but look, it's small. You stick it in your pocket and you're off. And that was the reason. I would just take that. Other things you can get. I'm not thinking about, if I were to create a Go box, which would be the radio to grab, it'd be a different radio. But we're talking about something that on your way out, you're grabbing and you're saving your radio. Well, so you need a power supply, you need all kinds of other things, the computer, the software, all that, but that would be the radio. The good of this is that I'm captivated by the signal quality and the versatility of the unit, the pure sound aspect of it for voice, the filters in it for cutting out QRM. It's better than my 991A. It's better than, and maybe that has to do with me being able to use some of the features in those radios, but it's better than the 1000D. It really cuts through all the noise. The bad, I suppose, is power. I mean, there's an amp. I've got a 50 watt amp. You can get a different kind of amp as well, a power amp. Hard Rock makes one that's supposed to be really quite good.
It's 5 watts, isn't it?
Yes.
Barefoot. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I have a 991A, and that's a shack in the box, and really you would think, well, why aren't you grabbing that? Well, I had to make a choice, and I'm thinking, my hair's on fire, so I'm grabbing this, and it fits in a shirt pocket. So, and I also thought it'd be weird and something different, because nobody else is going to have this underpowered thing. But, and there is no ugly. I don't really think there's an ugly on that. There's a lot of other bits and pieces you have with it, like a 991A, you walk out with it, all you need is power and a mic and an antenna, and you've got, whatever antenna you need, you've banded your box there. So that's me, the Hermes line. I'm pretty smitten with it, and it's cheap. So you gotta ask yourself, well, if that's the case, save the $2,000 radio, and then you can buy that after the house burns down with the insurance money. So that's an interesting point as well. All right.
Fantastic, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Now we've got a few online. We've got our US contingent and our UK contingent,
Oh, very good.
and a few people who have said I see 7700, bit hard to grab quickly. 705 as well. So our New Zealand contingent is saying 705. I see 735. FT707,
What does that one look like?
TS-590, so they're grabbing many radios on the way out. Now,
Trolley would be a good idea.
maybe in a grab pack.
Pallet or something.
Our US Andy, I would grab a Go box with an Alinco DX70 and a Kenwood 477 in with a 100 amp hour battery. So there you go. Now, who's next? Go on, be brave. Rex? Now, what, 9700, wasn't it?
Yes.
Are trailer pulled radios allowed?
A 9700 is not a trailer
Oh,
full.
sorry.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There we go.
Now, the reason I grabbed my 9700 is it's got a modification
Mm.
which, even if you buy a new one, you can't do the mod. It's modified so it's actually phase locked, not injection locked,
Okay.
as most of the 9700s are. And I think there's only 2 people have got phase lock ones, and Richard's got one and I've got one. And the circuit for it, it's got 168 little parts that fits on a little circuit board, and it was made for us by Glenn VK1XX, who was going to sell it to everybody
This
else.
is that board.
Yeah, and he then decided it was all too hard, and it raised all his expectations, but didn't produce any more. So I don't
I think
think
it's 4, isn't there? I think Glenn's got one. I think there's a one in VK4.
is there.
I think
Oh, I don't think Glenn's got one.
oh, okay, there might only be 3.
Yeah. Yeah. He thinks the 9700 is a really bad radio. I'm not sure why.
He's an RF engineer. So
Yeah. So the ugly things about the 9700 is, first of all, if it's not GPS locked, it drifts all over the place. So what is generally a really good radio is pretty well useless for digital. The other thing that I would like to see fixed in it is you can set the pass band on the, at least it says the pass band, up to 3.6 kilohertz, but when you adjust the pass band up to 3.6, you get a bulge at the bottom of the pass band up
When
to
you say-
about 200 hertz.
oh, okay.
So 0 to 200 hertz suddenly produces a bulge,
Okay.
and so you've actually got to set the pass band no more than about 3.2 to have a nice flat pass band.
Linear passband. Yeah.
Now, I would much prefer to have about 4 or 4.5 kilohertz pass band, and the reason for that is when you're doing auroral scatter, the Doppler shift changes from positive about on 2 meters, from positive about 600 hertz to negative after midnight about 600 hertz. And if you're doing a test where you don't want to be up changing your radio, just want to be listening, it would be better to set the transmit frequency at, say, 2 kilohertz and be able to work from 0 to 2 in the after midnight and afterwards. And I don't think it'd be that hard to do, because it's really just software that sets the pass band, because it's got 3 levels of pass band, sort of narrow for CW, about 1.8 kc for sort of communications quality, and 3 kc. So they're the only things I would like to fix.
Can you manually set that? Because I know on
You
some-
can manually set it, but when you manually set it, you can't set it any higher than 3.6, and then you get the bulge.
Yeah. Okay.
The things I love about it is the little spectrum scope on the radio. You can, I mean, anyone who's got a 9700 that's GPS locked just knows exactly what frequency everybody else is on
And tells them.
and tells them. And it only covers 2 meters, 432 and 1296, but they're the only bands that I'm, and higher, which I need converters for, but they're the only bands, the only sort of DC bands that I'm interested in. So that's it.
And anything you would really want them to change, like apart from the passband, any?
Oh, I'd like them to have had a properly phase locked radio in the first place, so that you didn't have had.
Actually
I
use
mean-
the GPS function in it.
Well, the reality is for the HF, all the HF radios other than the cheapest one. What's the cheapest one?
The 7300.
Yeah, all Icom's radios above that are properly phase locked, even though they're only HF radios, and you can phase lock them to GPS. I mean, all the modern ones. So when you look at the circuit, it can't be more than $10 worth of components if they properly GPS locked it when they built the radio in the first place.
Missed opportunity.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Rex. That's excellent. All right. FT891 is the lightest one, is the comment. Who wants to go next? All right.
Okay.
Now, what was yours, Mary? It's here somewhere. There it is.
So,
Very small.
to be fair, the fiscally rational part of my brain would not pick this radio. I just chose to talk about it because it's probably one that has the most sentimental value to me.
Okay.
This was my first amateur radio ever, which I bought from Andrews Communication in, I think, 1998.
Okay. So new.
No, second hand.
Second. Okay.
If you have a look at that, I think it was probably mid-80s sort of radio.
Just let me go down here. It's down the bottom somewhere. 83 to 1980 something.
Yes, so well and truly a second-hand radio when I got it. On this radio, I've done RITI, Packet, SSTV. It is a 2 metre radio, 2 metre FM. I've had a number of packet contacts via the International Space Station.
Yep. Storing forward on there.
It now has an aftermarket ZigTech tone board in it.
Okay.
It has the last couple of years developed a bit of a fault, and anybody who listens to the callbacks on Sunday morning will hear the familiar buzz that comes from this radio. And to be fair, these days that's about the only transmission it gets is the callback to the radio. But it's still in the shack and it's still going, and I've had it for a long time, and it's been a really good radio.
Okay.
There's lots of I don't know there's too much ugly about it, but there's bad about it because it's only has maybe 2 memories or 3.
And didn't come with a tone board, obviously.
It came with a plug for a tone board, but mine was second hand and didn't have it with it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it does. I think the memory is basically so you could do a non-standard offset for a repeater.
Okay.
I think it was designed for anything else.
Yep.
And it'll do dual watch, so you can listen. Yes, that's about
2 frequencies.
2 both frequencies.
Both memories.
That's in both memories. Yes.
Okay.
So that's probably not the one I would take in a fire, but that's my favourite.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Thanks, Murray. That's excellent. Now this is a bit of a segue. I would grab the 991A. Anyone got a 991A that they want us to talk about? That was yours.
Well, there's more.
Is there
Somebody else
any
has a
others with
991A?
991A? No?
Me, I have a 991A.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fiscally responsible part of my brain would probably
Probably
grab that.
grab
We'll
that,
probably
yeah.
grab that one, yeah. Okay. Who wants to go next? Oh, Lance.
Keep going anti-clockwise.
Now,
Yeah.
what was
I don't
yours?
have a radio.
It's
590 SG. It's very simple.
Ooh,
Now, before I start talking,
very sexy.
yeah, I was going to stand to the side. Just look at that. You can't see my notes, but if you did, there it says TS-590 SG. Justin can attest to this. There's a little heart drawn
Oh, both
above
sides.
left,
Both sides.
bottom right. This is a beautiful radio.
What is this, your daughter's diary?
I thought rather than just launch into what's good about the radio, I'll talk a bit, just very quickly, about what I really enjoy about radio, and then why this just suits this to an absolute T. Right, I really enjoy CW and trying to work DX, but just with a long wire antenna, which means I'm working with really weak signals most of the time. Right. So now let's talk a bit about why this is so lovely. 3 antenna ports, okay? So there's two antenna ports that you can have transmitting antennas, and there's a third port for a receive-only antenna, which is fantastic when that signal's really weak. You can very quickly just switch between your different antennas. I guess if you had a switch, you could do that as well, but it's on the radio. You can just flick between your antennas, or you can have, if it's particularly good on one antenna to receive, but it's not a good transmitting antenna, you can transmit on a separate antenna. Great, I know. I'll talk about the RF splitter a bit later. So you can take the RF that's coming in, split that out, so you can run a separate PAN adapter, which I'll talk about further down the line. And it's rated for 100% duty cycle at its full power, at 100 watts. So there's no question, like when you're just wanting to just, doing long, sometimes, I don't know if any of you do, like when you're doing CW, sometimes very, very weak, it's better just to go really slowly, like really slow, and I just don't feel like you need to worry when you're keying down for a long time. Or if you're wanting to do SSTV or any of those really high duty cycle modes, for those guys who like digital, 100 watts, just let it go all day.
We've got some good heat sinks here too now.
Yeah, that's right. So
That might save the house from burning down.
So what I really like about it though is the usability, right? So if you look at there's 57 buttons on the front face.
He's counted every one of them.
I did this afternoon. And every button, there's a dedicated function that will do without going through a menu. You'll see a lot of the buttons, there's a little bit of writing above it, so that's just secondary functions. So there's another 35 functions that you can access just with a long press of the button. And you may laugh, Justin, but we will get in a moment and I'll tell you why. It is just amazing, right? Yes. So we've got 57 plus 35, 9 rotary controls, right? So these are all double rotary controls. There is so much that you can do on the face of the radio without having to go into any menu, without clicking a mouse. So I'm a software engineer. I don't want to click a mouse or look at a screen necessarily when I'm doing fun stuff. And there's plenty of space. So for your fingers, the one thing that I really struggle with the new Yaesus is things just seem so bunched up. Like the FTTX 10. I'm sure the bigger ones have got more space and it's more spaced out. Like for them around the VFO, it just feels like everything is so cramped. I really like that there's heaps of space. I can just rest my hand on the desk and just reach and click buttons and not worry about knocking the VFO or whatever. It just feels so nice.
It does.
You push a button and it's nice and solid. For those of you who've experienced a beautifully weighted VFO knob, it's just there's a little slider underneath, right? It's a variable clutch.
Very important question.
No, you don't get asked questions because I'm extolling the beauty of this radio, right?
We'll say a wedding ring in a couple of months.
So if it spins a little bit too easily for your liking, there's a little clutch thing under this that's a little bit stiffer going. But this beautiful weighted VFO, it is so nice to have your hands on this radio and actually be playing with it. And you do play with it because everything is so accessible. Stop it. Because everything is so accessible, you actually use all of these functions. And I'll get to that in a moment, right?
You put it away in the box every night?
No, but I didn't bring it tonight because I don't want to take it.
No, but it needs a light now. Come out.
So I thought rather than just talk about all the features, which will take forever, I'll talk about some of the things that the radio does that I really rely on, that other rigs in certainly its price bracket don't offer you. So 2 COM ports. It seems a bit silly that you'd want 2 COM ports, but there's still a fair bit of software out there that you may want to run concurrently that doesn't support OmniRig. And I know you can get COM port splitters, but I've tried that route and it just doesn't work very well. So having 2 COM ports on the actual radio itself for rig control is really, really nice. I've spoke about being able to switch antennas for receiving. These here, those are my favourite. No, not those ones. These ones here. It's my favourite little buttons. I can twiddle these all day long, right?
Oh, your notch? Yeah.
So no, it's not my notch. It's my IF filters. So my IF shift so my IF width and shift, right?
Yeah.
This seems very similar to the. What year is this?
Kenwood.
Oh, it's still current.
It's still
But it's been around for a while.
A lot of the features that you're extolling is I'm nodding my head internally for the FT1000.
2014
Okay.
when it first came
It's
out.
half
And
the
so,
light.
so when this is buried, when that knob is buried in software, people don't use it. I was talking to someone the other day, and I was saying, try and narrow your filters, and you have to go through and figure it out because he'd never done that before, right? Whereas if I'm working someone, like every day that I use this radio, like every second or third contact, I'm fiddling with my IF filters and my shift because it's lovely. And what's even better is there's my little IF filter there. So for every mode, you can have 2 different filter sets. So like when I'm working CW, I'll have it a wide filter that you can sort of go and you can hear everything that's going on. And as soon as you find the signal you want to work, you just flick it and it goes to my preset smaller filter. Just saves having to, close it down. But like, I just don't think I could cope with a radio that doesn't allow me to adjust the IF filters and shift like on the front panel like that.
Yeah, I can understand.
Very quick power adjust. If I want to adjust the power, I just hit the power button and rotate the multifunction knob, and I can move the power down quickly, check my tuning, come back up again. So the reason I would do that rather than just hit the tune button is if I've got a good tune without my without the inbuilt tuner, then I'll run it without the inbuilt tuner just to get that tiny little bit of edge, because like I said, I'm working with weak signals, and the poor sucker on the other end is working with a really, really weak signal. So I'll sort of give them whatever help they can get. And full break-in. So for those of you who do CW, it's just got such a smooth full break-in, which means when you're keying, it'll switch between transmit and receive not just between the letters, but between the actual dits and dars. And it's just so smooth, and it's quiet, and it's just runs in the background, which is wonderful. So why no other radio, and why is this the one I would take? So essentially, the ergonomics and the performance for me are there is nothing else, certainly in its price bracket, that can match it. I would have to go up significantly. Like this is for Kenwood's HF line, like this is their baby radio. But for certainly like Icom and Yaesu, like their entry level or price wise, like it just doesn't give me anywhere near what I use it for. If they were a bad, I would say probably the fact that it would be nice to have a scope on there. But if I had to put a scope on there, I don't know where it would go, because I wouldn't want things squashed up. I'd need a bigger radio. And if you look at the Kenwood models that the next level's up, they're basically bigger to incorporate a scope. Now, having said that, it's got the RF output on the back, which I have going to an SDR radio, going to like a big scope on the screen with all the power of full SDR software. So when I want to see a scope, I don't really think I'm missing out in that respect. Anyway, so that is my baby. Thank you.
We're going to have to hold a wake when it dies. Thank you, Lance. That's fantastic.
Lance.
Absolutely fantastic.
Can we come to the wedding?
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Come on, Phil, up here.
Working your way around.
There we go. Look at that. Oh.
Right. Now, I've got a bit of a confession to make.
Well, like Lance.
I have never owned a new HF radio.
Okay.
And the most recent one I've got is a Barrett 950 on a boat, and that's probably about 10 or 15 years old. So actually, I've got a later one. I've got a 2040 as well. But this radio, for much the same reason, I just love it. You know, it's just got human-sized knobs, and you can turn it on, and it warms up, and it just does everything just beautifully. But of course, the other thing is, I can fix it.
Well and truly.
Which, you know, you have to do every now and then with these old valve rigs. But I've also got an S-line, but because I could only, I use the S-line for AM actually, but because I could only talk about one box, this would certainly be the box I take. And yeah, sure, it's a bit limited, you know, you don't have all the nice latest gizmos, but on a radio like this, it's all about relaxation, having a chat, rag chew.
Yep.
It's just fantastic. Now, what I don't like about it is the power supply. The power supply comes in a separate box. I wouldn't grab that. But it's a 516F, I think they call them. It weighs about 30 kilos, and it almost killed me the other day.
Right.
Because I had it up on a shelf. And it was facing the wrong way on the shelf, so all the guts were going forward.
Okay.
Now, what I didn't realise is that somebody a long time ago forgot to put the screws in the bottom to hold the chassis in the frame. So as you know, I got a pretty big nose. Now my nose used to be bent a little bit more to the left. And what it did, when it came out, it hit me in the face.
30 kilos in the face.
Yeah, hit me in the face. It hit the side of my nose. This only happened about 3 weeks ago. Hit the side of my face and it straightened my nose. You wouldn't believe it. It put it back. It used to go this way and it now goes that way, almost straight ahead. So I've got something to thank the Collins power supply. But I wouldn't pick the Collins power supply. I'd certainly pick this radio. And, just because it does everything nicely. It sounds good. I can fix it. What you do have to be careful of is that some people, when they get these radios, the first thing they do is they lubricate the little friction bearings in the dial, and then you find the dial slips. So don't ever go near any of this with any lubrication. Just leave it as it is. And the other thing you can do is you can keep it hooked up to your antenna anytime. I mean, this radio, I live almost in the centre of the city in Sydney, and this radio is out where my daughter is, and I've got a shack out there. And I never disconnect the antenna, and it's on a ridge, and it gets the most horrendous lightning strikes. It's never been blown up. Never ever been blown up. So that's another good thing. You don't no lightning arresters. Just keep it on.
I love it.
Anyway,
I love it.
That's it.
Thank you, Phil. I love it. I love it. Who wants to go next?
I don't have a radio, so.
Okay, Kim. Is yours the same one?
No. Although I do have some.
Yeah, I know that.
Some, as in more than one.
I've been thinking about this for a while because I'm not very active, but I've been active a lot over the years. So the first radio that I really hammered was on Willis Island, which was actually a station name and a rig, which was a Kenwood TS-590A. Really basic radio, but like in 6 months, I don't know, 10,000 contacts and 100 and something countries in every state in the States on 40 metres. So like for a basic radio, it did a really good job and it kept going. And it had been there for some years. Never been killed by lightning, so that was pretty impressive. I don't know what happened to it. Hopefully people were using it after that.
TS, was it?
Yeah, TS-130.
130?
130.
There it is, middle page.
S, 130 SE, 130.
No, it's S. It was an S.
S?
Yeah, so it's like what the Walkmans were just coming in. So, that was,
Oh, wow.
it was a good jigger. It just did the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a good jigger. So,
100 watts?
yeah, well, on a good day.
Not on 10 metres.
No, not on 10 metres. Well, I worked 21 megs. That's about the limit, really. Antennas, V-beams. Just put up V-beams off the 80-foot tower in different directions and folded them in when the island wasn't wide enough. So, yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. So I followed that up with some Drake gear, TR7, TR5, which I had for a while and didn't use it and really like it. TR7 was good, still got those. Linears, although I tend not to use linears. All sorts of stuff, really. S-Line, K2M2A out of the Div auctions years ago. The radio that I've probably used the most consistent is a JRC JST245. There you go. Drag that up. That's actually a really nice radio. It's not dissimilar.
It's not dissimilar to the Love Affair radio. Except it's older.
He's actually here. JRC.
Yep. 245's in the bottom here.
Ooh, that does look nice.
Actually, that could almost be a rebadged radio.
Except it's much older.
Good point.
Yeah, that's they must be 20 years old now, 25 years old.
Hang on.
95.
1995.
Yeah. So 30 years old when they came out. I've got a couple of those. I
Same
did.
age as me.
There you go. It's probably in better nick. Couldn't resist. Sorry. You can bell me later. My first one came from a friend in Queensland with some dodgy deal with some Collins gear, and I used that for quite a while. This is back when we were Arthur Street, so I used it there. Then I bought one that was a parts radio that got going, and then another one which was better. Used them there, used them out and about, used them on Australis. Just turn it on and off it goes. Same thing, passband tuning, variable IF, fixed filters, go bang, 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 what frequency you want, turn the power up, turn the power down, all front panel, no memories, it doesn't have any Ethernet port in it, it's that era, it's just before that. So it's just a simple radio, 150 watts all day, every day, massive heatsink, and there's also a matching kilowatt linear with it, JRL 2000. I bought one of those out of the States or somewhere, I can't remember, and I've never used it, but they come with a full antenna tuner built into them, which will load up to some ridiculous figure. Yeah, so really good gear, but super expensive in the day, like $3.5 grand, $5 grand, something. So not very common.
Okay.
So that's not just go and grab it occasionally. But in terms of just mucking around, 706 Mark II-G and other little bits and pieces, man-peggy things and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I reckon there's some of that simplicity that's all there on the front panel. It's just really hard to beat. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kim.
My vote.
Yeah.
Who's next? Harry.
You go, Harry.
5 minutes, Harry.
Well, hopefully I won't take as long as Lance, but we'll see how we go. So luckily where I am, most of my radios are out in the garage, so they're away from the house. The one that sits in the house with me is the TYT MD9600. Nice solid little unit. This one's been in and out of my cars a couple of times. Unfortunately, this one's not in the car because I've had a bit of a debate in regards to my electric vehicle. A lot of people don't want me putting a radio in there, which it's no different than any other person putting a radio in an electric or hybrid or petrol or diesel or horse and cart, if they want to go down that far. Really nice audio and microphone power to it as well. It's very well driven. Like when I turn it on, I have to make sure I turn the volume all the way down. Otherwise, if I forget where the volume level was and I go to turn it back on at either at the power button or at the power supply, I get this mighty oh Jesus. there goes my years into the next 25th century. So really nice solid radio. The downside is, and something I would love to see them do with these models, is I would like to see them have a remote head set up as well, because the head itself, it's just nice and small and nice and easy. You could easily have that as a remote head and have the body tucked away underneath the seat, or if it's at home, you could have it tucked underneath the computer desk and have that sitting right near the keyboard or somewhere. Just nice and easy and simple. Nice simple headphone jack and data port for your programming. It's got a fan on it as well, so you often hear that going when I'm keying it up as well. The only downside is the power connector. I mean, I can change that, but the last thing I want is to change something then all of a sudden go, nope, I will not change it in the end. And the downside is I have trouble with is the keypad on the remote mic. I've tried a couple of times where I've tried to use IOLP on it, and the radio's gone, what are you trying to do? So that I would like to see them either upgrade the firmware to fix that issue, if there is a firmware for it. Otherwise, it's a really nice solid analog and digital DMR radio. Quite often I have this on DMR a lot. I'm more of a DMR person, so really solid unit for that sort of stuff, and really nice power out of it too.
How much power is it's capable of?
50 watts
Okay.
on VHF and 45 watts on UHF.
I can see why it's got a fan on it.
Yeah. But yeah, all in all, it's really good.
Excellent. Looks good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thanks, Aaron.
No worries.
Who's next? Come on, Garry.
You go. I'll go.
Yeah.
You're the next
Come on, Tricky. Now, you
Mine was the
90.
behemoth Icom 9100.
Let's see somewhere.
That I bought on a bit of a whim because having a shack in a box is pretty cool. And being able to actually test all the shelves in your shack too to make sure that there's sound. It weighs quite a bit, and it doesn't have an inbuilt power supply, but it does all the bands from 160 metres through to 23 centimetres. So it's a pretty cool rig. Does a full lot of 23 centimetres. It's got USB, so it does USB sound card, USB CAT. It's got an accessory input. Just pull me up Rex, because Rex has one as well. Mine's not quite as flash as Rex's. Mine doesn't have a VK3 HZ GPS locking
David's.
chips.
Yeah.
Mine has one in it from the VK4 guy. Oh,
AMG.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
But it works a treat, so it's GPS locked. But in the first days when I got it, I used it on 10 gigs to do EME. And Rex can confirm it was not particularly accurate in frequency, but it was very stable.
Okay.
It was consistently about 40 hertz or so low, but it would stay. It wouldn't drift around very much, which was good. Now that it's GPS locked, it appears to be on frequency. Really nice to be able to do. It'll do the satellite sort of thing for ISS and satellites, and you can do any band up and any band down in any mode. So you can do FM up and SSB down
And reverse
if you ever wanted to.
if you
Yeah, and
need
you've got
to.
normally tracking VFRs or reverse tracking for the
Yeah.
different satellites. Look, it's really quite handy. It's got an antenna socket for every band. It's got two for HF, so one for sort of HF, one for 6, obviously one for 2, one for 70, 296, which is great. And look, it's getting sort of not quite as excited as Lance, but the tuning knob's sort of quite nice. It's got lots of buttons. It's got a few menus. One of them is a little bit sort of obtuse, and there's a few Icom terminologies about what they call things. But look, it's a pretty good rig. I really quite like it. The downside to it is the power control. Well, the biggest downside is it doesn't have a waterfall. And once you've had it, if you've never sat in front of a rig that's got a waterfall, it's all good. You're all happy. But then you buy a 9700 or you sit in front of a 7300 and you go home and you sit in front of it and you go, damn it. And someone goes, oh, can you hear that? Or can you see that signal? No. So that's probably a bit of a bummer. The other downside, I think, is I love analog controls. I love knobs along your sort of line lengths of having controls. But the RF power out, not so bad on 1296 where you've only got 10 watts. But on the other bands where you've got like 100 watts on 2 metres, if you're driving a linear that only wants 5 and you forget, bad things happen. So there's actually a sticky note on mine, check power. So whereas the 9700 has that ability to set, and I'm sure the 705 does too, to be able to set a power limit for each band. So that's a pretty cool thing. But yeah, it's got along your lines to Lance, it's actually got your variable passband and notch filters that you can actually engage sort of from the front panel. And look, it's it's a really nice rig. It sort of sounds nice, and yeah, I like it a lot. I'd probably grab it, although I'd want to be fit because it's really heavy. I took it portable up Mount Wellington one day. Murray and I went up there and we made up some timber work and set all the rigs on. We sort of grabbed this thing and plonked it on. It's like quick structural integrity check. Like it's pretty heavy, but it's worked a lot of 6 metres just of late. So
What era is this?
I thought it was about
2010.
yeah.
Started 2010. Okay. Because this is sort of on the journey to the 7300 interface.
I think
it's
so.
Sort of very similar.
It is. I think there's another radio that's got a similar screen, and I think is it a 746 or something?
Oh, 746 and 746 Pro.
No, they had. I think they had a. They didn't have the LCD display. They had the phosphor style, but there's a few in that. But look, the menus are pretty good. It is. I have to say, the guy that I bought it off was an older fella, and when I sort of said, "Oh, is there anything wrong with it?" He goes, "There's nothing wrong with it." He said, it does my head in trying to drive it, and it is a little bit obtuse, just going from some VFO modes to some memory modes. You press the button, you go, "What are you doing?" And you find yourself having little conversations of, "You should be on this band." But no, I really quite like it. It's I like it a bit more than my old FT736, which was a very.
So this is what you use for EME?
No, I use the 9700 now for EME.
Right. Okay.
But when I first sort of started on my journey of 10 gigs in EME, I used that.
Okay.
And it was, but yeah, I was very impressed with the 9700. But they're a good rig, I think.
Cool. You do get some comments. Andy, yes, great rig. Was another comment actually, just going back to Lance's from Warren, 7 Whiskey November. Lance, can you bring this radio in so I can meet her sometime?
Or does she have a sister or something?
Yeah. So thank you, Richard. Excellent. Okay, who's next?
I think we're right out now, aren't we?
Garry?
Yeah.
Now, Gary's bought a radio with him. Love it.
Yeah.
A luggable.
But it has a handle.
Yeah,
It has a handle.
correct. Actually, the KWM has a handle on the side, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I seem to remember.
Yeah, it does.
So did the Osborne one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So is the Kenwood TS-590A.
The scary thing is I know exactly what you're talking about.
If our house was on fire, I'd probably have a cat under the other arm, you see, so I need a handle on my rig.
Okay. We do have it.
Yeah, I
To the cat?
think they're a pretty reasonable rig for what they are, being a shack in the box and all that sort of stuff. The doesn't have as many knobs on it as what Lance's radio's got. But while we just sidetrack on Lance's radio, I think Greg GM's got the same radio as that.
Yeah, they've got two.
And we did a shootout between that radio and the 7300, and on noise reduction and stuff like that, which we were having trouble with at our place, it is equal to a 7300, or even possibly we discovered a little bit better. So yeah, it's a pretty good radio. These ones are good. You can reassign the knobs, Lance. You can change things around a bit. You can make the big knob a few other things. You can use that as a clarifier or something, and various stuff like that. So I quite like that. That's the first Jack in the Box radio that I've ever had. So I've sort of stuck with it. It's a bit dated now, but still goes all right. One thing you might like is let me see.
What frequency does it get up to? Does it go to 2 metres or 432?
It goes
432.
it's all
Yeah,
there,
it's 70, 270 and HF.
Yeah.
So while your house is burning down, you can still sit out the front and practice your Morse code off the training menu. But anyway, so yeah, that's probably the one I'd grab straight off, even though, as you were saying, once you sit down in front of a radio that's got a waterfall on it, you send a
You just need to
gravitate
resist. Do you want
towards
to come
that.
and play with my 7300? No.
Yeah, that's
Don't
right.
want to. Sorry.
But yeah, that's it. No handle on 7300. I don't.
Gary, is it just the 2 antenna ports on there?
Sorry?
Just the 2 antenna ports?
Yeah, there's HF and combination for VHF, UHF. So one's a good old PL259, the other one's a N type. So, but yeah, no, I really only use it on HF, so I can only really speak about its life as an HF radio. One thing that's probably a bit of a trap if you're buying a second-hand one is just to make sure there's no prison bar lines going up the screen. But apart from that, they seem pretty reliable. The only trap I've found that's caught me twice is to do a factory reset. You press, I don't know whether it's those two buttons or any two of those three, and the power connection's at the back here. So if you've got this on your bench and you're holding here to stop it going forward as you're pushing in the power cord at the back, it plays a little magic tune, and then you talk with bad language for a while because you have to sit down and reset
So
it.
next question, does it have a CAT port or a CIV port?
It's got all the nonsense on
So
it.
you can.
It's a cat port.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a cat.
okay. Just plug it into the iPhone and download the
It's a cat
memories
port.
again.
Yeah. But apart from that, I use it quite a bit. I use it every now and again for the broadcast on Sunday mornings, and nobody complains about it. So,
Gary, and just mention, it has 2 slots for batteries, internal batteries.
that's
It actually
A and
has,
yeah, it's A and
well
B.
and truly.
The batteries are a little bit expensive, but they can be handy, and there's a battery change switch at the top for A and B. Then you've got the price of the battery charger on top of that, unless you build your own or you've got something else you can do it with. So putting the batteries in it's fairly expensive, but I've had those ones rebuilt by Active probably 5 years ago or more, and they still hold their volts way better than the original
How much power out
aftermarket
does it
ones.
get on the batteries?
Sorry?
How much power out do you get on the internal batteries?
Drops it down to 20 watts, I think. Yeah.
Gary, is that one there with the batteries in it, is that a version of one of the other Yaesu radios, like an 856 or something like that, was it?
857.
857.
Yeah,
857
the 857 is the mobile version of that. It's
Yeah.
the same brain in that.
So good.
So
Just
yeah,
looked really, they got a funny front panel with a really big knob or something on the front.
yeah. So it's identical. The programming's all the same. Lance's radio's got many buttons and many knobs, so you've got to do a lot of these things are 2 and 3 function. Heaps of memory. So if you're just using it for HF, I think there's 200 memories or something around about that. So nobody, I don't think, uses 200 separate frequencies. So the easier way is just channelise it up for the frequency you use all the time, and you don't have to do a lot. You can just go clickety clickety click. You can repurpose those 3 batteries buttons across the front for hotspot batteries, so hotspot buttons, so you can sort of make one mic gain or make it anything you like. Make that drive a whole pile of functions.
Bad or ugly about it, Gary? What are you?
I haven't found anything really bad, apart from the screen dying, which is, I don't know how common that is, but it's something that people mention.
There's another issue with them, which I've experienced, which is the memory chip in them fails. And when it fails, that's it. It goes back to default, and you can't take it anywhere else. So that's one of the.
So it's a ticking time bomb, you reckon?
It's a ticking time bomb.
There is another issue with those too. They have the ceramic filters in them.
I've forgotten about that.
DC across them, and
Yeah.
they corrode eventually.
Yeah,
Before they
but they're pretty cheap and easy to do. I've done those, but
But
other issues are.
If it's working, it's bulletproof. Those people who contacted me on Shooting Island the other day, you were talking to me on one of those, because I took that with me so I could get 100 watts. So with an external battery.
I can't say that there's anything really ugly. It's just the trap of accidentally going back to factory reset when you. Well, it was pretty impressive just before the Sunday broadcast.
Ask me how we know it's this.
All right, who's next?
Might be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Now, can I? I can't top Lance. But what I will say is, I had 2 rigs, and I went, which one? And it was a toss up between the FT847 Earth Station. So that was their flagship satellite rig a long time ago. But the thing I love about that rig is it has the knob for the variable passband, and you are playing with it all the time, and it's a knob. So yeah, I can relate to that. The one that I said was, can I just say the reason why I said this? Icom T-90A. I absolutely fell in love with this rig. This is I became acquainted with it through Yaesu, because it was the Yaesu handheld of choice. For those who don't know, it's a tri-band, so it's 6'2" and 70 centimeters. It is just.
Those are rare, aren't they?
Oh, they're not that rare.
81s are.
The 81s are. The 81s are the quad band, so they have 23 centimeters in them as well. Got one of them as well.
Very good.
So it's AM, FM, wideband FM on receive. It's only FM transmit. The receiver is 490.495 megs, so 500 kilohertz, up to a gig. So, and it is if you happen to get a US one, then the mobile bands are blocked out. But 5 watts and adjustable down to half a watt. So great. This one's not opened up, but you could open them up, and we use them for Targa, because we had a whole lot of Targa commercial frequencies that we would use, and you can open them up to other frequencies which provide flea power, but if the repeater's on top of a hill next to you, who cares? You were able to get into the repeater, so that was actually a really nice feature. Speaker mic is really nice. That's one of the good things I love about it. There is a squelch kill button on the side, which I actually... So it opens up the squelch. Sorry, it doesn't kill it, but that's really handy if you've got really low signals. Really sturdy. It's a completely die-cast box. That's good because it's really sturdy, but that's also used as the heatsink for the PA. Gets hot. So that's a plus and a minus. This is about the fourth battery pack that I've got in this particular one. So that's purely because they get to the point where they fail. The ugly is the memory structure on it. It's just not intuitive. And the other ugly is when you have a speaker mic plugged into it, that knob, which is a multi-function knob, you can actually get it to do all sorts of things, is actually really hard to use with the plug-in. That's the only other thing. So, and got a glow-in-the-dark signal stick on it. But love this rig. Absolutely love this rig. Not quite as much as Lance, but but yeah, absolutely love it. T-90A. So yeah. Now, our latecomers. Favourite rig? Good, bad, ugly? You need to come up here.
All of them. Come on.
I don't have it with me.
No, you don't have to have it with you. I can bring it up on the screen. RigPix.
You go first.
We may have already had it. Which is?
Maybe. I'm trying to think. Current or past or present?
Any. We had a wonderful one from
Well,
Murray.
if the house is burning down, it's definitely the 7610 because it's the most expensive.
It's a luggable.
Yeah, probably the most versatile radio, I think, is the 705.
Okay.
Um,
Had that.
yeah, because it's got everything in it. The only problem is the power is limited. So I don't really have a radio that I would prefer over each and every other radio, and I've had lots of radios over the past few years. I mean, probably the most loved radio I think is probably the 7300.
Okay.
So probably because it's just so easy to operate and it's easy for beginners. It's pretty cheap. It's only HF only, but you know, if you're beginning and you just want to get into HF, then and then this is the thing. There's a problem with the 7300 because the 7300 is like 8 years old now, 9 years old, 10 years, might be 10 years. I can't remember. It's pretty old. So that architecture in that radio led to 2016, so almost 10 years old. So that architecture in that radio has gone to the 9700, it's gone to the 705, it's in the 7610, it's in the 7760. So they've kept with this architecture for like 10 years.
905 too.
905. So, and I think that it's not too far away that there's going to be a bit of a
refresh.
Not a refresh, but I think they're probably going to start to look to more advanced things within their radios. There's a lot of talk at the moment about the high bands for Icom. They're very, very interested in the high bands. I was actually talking to somebody the other day in Icom who said that they're doing a lot of stuff around the 10 gig, 24 gig
They've got that new module for
stuff.
the 905, haven't they?
Yep. So they're doing a lot of stuff with that. So yeah, they're really starting to smash that. But yeah, the 7300 is probably one of my favourite rigs, and I'm probably going to sell it soon. So because I don't need it anymore.
What's the buy and sell list?
No, there's already a buy for it. So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
When you were talking to Icom, did you manage to convince them that GPS locking for these radios at high frequencies was a really good idea?
Oh well, they already have it in the 905 with the internal GPS, but they
not proper GPS.
they frequency discipline to 1 pulse per second.
That's not even close.
But Rex says it's not proper GPS. The problem is that proper GPS to Rex is different to what they're doing with the 905. In their idea, they're
So
not
you need to send
doing.
one down for Rex to
They're not doing Earth Moon Earth stuff. They're doing terrestrial stuff because that's what they're marketing as is the terrestrial stuff. But yeah, I think they learnt from the 9700 to at least have GPS in it.
Cool. Fantastic. All right. Thanks, Hayden.
Oh, handheld.
No, you only get one.
Well, I'm just giving you about 5 radios. VX8. That's my favourite handheld.
VX8. Okay. Yaesu VX8. Yep. Excellent. Who's next? Come on, Lee.
Come on, Lee.
Now, what is it so that I can bring it up?
Well, all mine are elderly, so I see 2400 stroke 2500.
I've just taken one of them out of the van. 2400.
How much do you want for it?
It's sentimental. Bit like, not quite as much as land.
Is that more sentimental, more mental than senti?
That's it.
All I'll say, Lee, is re-watch the video.
2400.
Lance's video.
It's a 24, so it should be.
I love it.
So
This is a great radio.
yeah. So all my radios are elderly. I mean, I think my youngest radio is about 7 years old. The oldest radios I've got are the TS-590s, which are 40 years old now. But I think if I had to grab one, because I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat. I've actually got them both in the same box. So I'd actually grab the box that's got the 24 and the 2500 in there. They're solid radios. They're bulletproof in terms of operation. What I like about them is it's all button. There's no touchscreen this, touchscreen that. I actually like having a knob to turn if I need to change something.
Yeah, like Lance.
I'm not going there, I'm on TV.
Oh, Lance went.
Didn't start that.
Okay, so I like to play with my knobs, okay? So yeah, I like the fact that it's a very clear display. When I was doing the callbacks for the broadcasts, that's what you'd been talking to me on. Whenever I'm doing contesting, that's what I'm using. Is that and the 2500 with the club antenna, 23 SEM antenna, which works exceptionally well. Which I guess thanks Tricky for helping me build that thing.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring it up 2500. Keep going.
Yeah, 2500A, that's the one. Bads about them. I think the worst thing about them is that it's superficial, but the buttons, the legends on the buttons don't stay. The ink rubs off really easily. And the other thing is that the buttons do get sticky after a while. So on my 2400, I've got to really push the button down sometimes to switch bands or whatever. But that's a very minor issue with them. The bonus with these as well is that, go back to the goods, that certainly on the 2500 you'll do cross-band repeat. If you cut the appropriate jumper and then press the appropriate key combination, I can't remember which one it is now, but you can actually do cross-band repeat from 70 to 1.2 or from 70 to 2 meter, which is great because if you want to walk around the house with a handheld but want to be talking and playing on 1.2, then that's easy, just switch the handheld to 70 and cross-band repeat. The other thing I'd say about them is the power level's great. The power levels are fairly reliable. If I say I want, when I say I'm going to get 25 watts, I get 25 watts. I don't get, like some of the other radios I could mention, which will give you 10 watts, which is more like 3.
Well, the 2400s are 40 watt.
40 watt, yeah.
40 watt readings.
Yeah, but I think it's 40 and 25 are the 2 levels. Oh no, sorry, 25 is on the 2500. I will say handheld. I'm going to unfortunately go against the grain here. Handheld, my new favourite handheld is the TID Radio H3 because it's got open source firmware. There's a guy, I can't remember his name, who's done some amazing stuff on there and has made this thing do everything but talk, a bit like the Radiolity GD77 that we have with Joseph. It doesn't quite talk, but it does everything else. So the TID Radio H3, it's a dual bander, but it also can receive lots of other things as well. So if I had to, at a pinch, I'd either grab this rig or I'd grab the handheld as the H3 as I'm running out of a burning house. And that's me.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
Cool. Now, have we missed anybody? No. Yes. No. Andrew. Steve.
Grab something you don't have.
No. Okay.
You can have Lance back.
Please. No,
I second that.
I think I second Warren's comment. We want to see it in the flesh. Yeah, in here.
We'll have it with or without Lance.
So we'll wrap it up at that. Thank you. I hope you've got something from it, and there's some rigs on your next you're wanting to buy list or whatever. So and you get a good. I think we got a good cross section there. That was good all the way from valve all the way through to the SDR. So that's excellent. And we had handhelds and we had base radios and we've got mobile radios, etc. So that's fantastic. So thank you. And we'll just a reminder: the ABC next week, ABC tour next week. Can I say you need to be at the front of the ABC at the railway roundabout, sharp, no later than 7:30. We will be going in at 7:30 as a group. So please be down there. Can you please use the railway roundabout tunnels to get there? Because I don't want somebody run over. It's a fairly busy road that you have to get across. So at the front of the ABC, 7:30 sharp, preferably before, and it should be a good show from Damien and Alan. So thanks for coming along, sharing. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, good. Very
Yeah.